In February 2022, a massive column of armor rolled across the border into Eastern Europe, shattering a peace that had lasted for decades. The scale of the invasion shocked the world. But if you rewind the clock, the tension leading up to this moment had been building for more than 30 years. The drivers of this conflict reach far beyond a simple disagreement over a border or a line in the dirt. Look at this map of Eastern Europe. To understand the roots of the fighting, you have to watch this map split into two entirely different, overlapping layers. You have to look at the exact same physical space through two totally incompatible perspectives. This creates a scenario where two opposing versions of the future are forced to occupy the exact same physical space. Let's start with the first lens. When the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, Ukraine emerged as an independent nation with recognized borders. For the first time in modern history, millions of Ukrainians had the chance to chart their own course. Over the next few decades, public opinion steadily shifted. A growing majority of the population wanted to step out of Moscow's shadow and build stronger ties with the West. Specifically, they looked toward the European Union. They saw economic integration with Europe as their best path toward prosperity and democratic stability. That tension hit a boiling point in 2014. When a pro-Russian president tried to suddenly scrap a major trade deal with the EU in favor of closer ties with Moscow, millions took to the streets. After months of intense protests, that president was ousted. What emerged from those protests was a hardened, modern identity. The citizens of Ukraine view themselves as an independent, European nation, with the sovereign right to choose their own allies. For them, moving toward the West means national survival. It is the final step in breaking away from an imperial past. Now, look at this same geography from Moscow's perspective. Russian leadership sees a vast, open border to their west, and historically, that vulnerability has made them deeply anxious about any encroaching power. Vladimir Putin argues that an allied, Western-leaning neighbor right on their border is an unacceptable vulnerability. The specific fear centers around NATO, the Western military alliance created during the Cold War. As former Soviet states joined NATO over the years, Russia watched a rival military bloc push steadily closer to its doorstep. But it goes deeper than military strategy. There is also a powerful cultural and historical driver behind Russia's policy. Historically, Russian leadership doesn't view Ukraine as a fully separate entity. They see it as an inseparable piece of their own cultural and political sphere, a territory that inherently belongs under Moscow's influence. The Kremlin views Ukraine's movement toward the West as an existential threat that dismantles Russia's global standing and erases a critical territorial buffer. Those two overlapping maps finally clashed violently in the aftermath of the 2014 pro-Western protests. Notice how this map changes in 2014. Russia sent forces into the southern Crimean Peninsula, annexing the territory, a move deemed illegal. Simultaneously, conflict crept into the eastern Donbas region. Pro-Russian separatists, backed by Moscow, began fighting Ukrainian forces. This triggered a grinding, low-intensity war that lasted for 8 long years. But even with that constant pressure, Russia failed to drag Ukraine back into its orbit. Unable to reverse Ukraine's trajectory, Moscow attempted to overwrite reality by force. In February 2022, they launched a full-scale invasion with sudden artillery strikes, claiming they needed to demilitarize their neighbor and protect Russian speakers. But the international community saw something entirely different. They saw shattered apartment blocks, displaced families, and an unprovoked act of aggression against a sovereign state. The war in Ukraine tests a very simple, brutal question. Does a nation have the right to choose its own future, or can that right be violently erased by the